Alright guys, so we have a lot to get to. We have not done a video since almost after the Tennessee game. So we got a lot to talk about, and we want to talk about it within an hour or so. So we got to get going. We're going to start. We're just going to jump right in. Georgia and Florida State was announced they be playing in the SEC ACC Challenge December 2nd at 9 p.m. So if you remember the last time these two teams played in 2023 in the same SEC ACC Challenge, the last time they played, Georgia came back and won off a buzzer beater. Justin Hill. Well, first Georgia gets down a few points, or not a few, but a lot. They come back. Jabari Abdul-Rahim hits a free to give Georgia the lead. Florida State then I think hits a shot and a free throw to take the lead back. They stay down 1 or 2 with a minute to play or so, and then Justin Hill gets the game-winning shot that gives Georgia the win. So Georgia came back and won. That was a great night. It's funny. That was my last year of high school, so I had to get my headphones and my phone and sneak and listen to that game while I was supposed to be in bed. So I took the radio to bed with me. When Justin Hill hit the shot, I almost jumped out my bed. I mean, I went absolutely crazy. But it was just fun. And a few months later, they beat them in football as well. But I'll always remember the one in basketball. I mean, it was just so great. The fact that Georgia came back and won a game they usually would have lost is it brings me great joy. I just rewatched that game yesterday because of the news. So it is just absolutely wonderful. Now to hockey, Georgia and Alabama playing hockey tonight and tomorrow. Georgia hockey continues this tradition of playing teams before they play in football. They usually do. For example, if they play Auburn in football, then they'll play Auburn before they'll play Auburn in hockey a few days before the football game. Is really odd that they're doing a Thursday and Friday, because usually when they do it, it's Friday and Sunday. But being in a new league and whatnot, they might not have the day to do it, which I completely understand. Georgia volleyball got swept yesterday by Tennessee 3-0, and none of the matches were close at all. So that's not good. But we got some other stuff to talk about. Well, and then we're gonna start with the SEC has finally released every team's home and away from 2026 to 29. Excuse me, guys. So it's pretty simple. If you were home in 26, you'd be away in 28. If you were home in 27, you'd be away in 29. Georgia's SEC schedule in 2026 is going to be Auburn versus Florida in Atlanta, at South Carolina, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma at home, and away Alabama, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. In 2027 at Auburn versus Florida in Tampa Bay versus South Carolina, LSU, Mississippi State, and Tennessee all at home, and at Kentucky, at Texas A&M, and at Texas. In 2028, Auburn versus Auburn at home, at versus Florida in Jacksonville, at South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, Ole Miss at home, at Missouri, at Vanderbilt, and at Oklahoma on the road. And then in 2029, at Auburn versus Florida in Jacksonville, South Carolina, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and Texas at home, at LSU, Mississippi State, and Tennessee on the road in 2029. And they did say that the opponents would update every few years. So I just want to get my opinion out. We're just gonna do 2026. We'll talk the other one. You don't play Texas. You don't play Tennessee So Georgia and Tennessee, they're rivals, but they have not really been rivals. And they've only played every year since the 90s. So, I understand why that game was taken off. Georgia don't play Kentucky in 2026. Georgia and Kentucky are, I don't want to say rivals either, but teams that we've always seen to play. It's very nice to see South Carolina back on the schedule. I just think it's bullcrap that once again Georgia's going to have to go to Alabama. You're going to go to Ole Miss, that's fine. You go to Arkansas, that's very fine because you haven't been to Arkansas since 2014 if you don't count COVID. It's really 2020, but, their stadium wasn't even full because of COVID. So, and it makes me wonder, is that game going to be played in Little Rock or Fayetteville? But but 2027 to me is the best one. I mean, you get Tennessee at home, LSU at home, and you finally, after years in the SEC, how many years have they been in the SEC now? 15 years or so? You finally play Texas A&M at Texas A&M. I mean, good Lord. I can't believe it took this long for Georgia to finally be able to play Texas A&M in Texas A&M. Because if I were the SEC, Frick going to Alabama in 26, it'd be Georgia going to A&M in 26. This is way overdue, and I bring it up for one reason. This is something that I know a lot of people will not agree with, and they won't say it because, you're not supposed to say it. Yes, I don't like Florida. I don't like the Florida Gators. They're one of Georgia's rivals, blah, blah, blah. It is absolutely unfair that almost every year since they've been in the SEC, Florida has to go to Texas A&M almost every year, and 2027 is going to be our first time going to Texas A&M. You make that make sense. Make it make sense. I don't like Florida, and I understand there are going to be people who shake their head, and they're going to be mad that I'm saying that, and I apologize, but I'm just saying that's my opinion. I can't believe that they've been in the SEC for almost 20 years. Almost 20 years at this point. In a few years, it will be 20 years. And Georgia hadn't even been to Texas A&M. I mean, it's absurd. And I don't like Florida, but that's the example I have to use because that's the most unfairest. Florida gets a home game that they could be playing somebody else taking away every year, or a road game that they don't have to go to Timbuktu to play because they have to play Texas A&M every year. I don't want to say they play every year, but it pretty much is. I know for a fact they've played the last 4 or 5. And before that, I remember in like 2017 or 16, they went to Texas A&M too. So they've went to Texas A&M almost every year since they've been in the SEC. And this is going to be Georgia's first time playing A&M. It's going to be Georgia's second time playing them since they've been in the conference. It was in Athens in 2019. That was the game it rained. It rained so bad Georgia had no offense. They had no offense to begin with that year anyway, but it rained the entire day. So your only time in the SEC, the only time you played A&M in the SEC was dreary, it was rainy, it was a disgusting day. I like those kind of days, but for football it was disgusting. I don't like those days much anymore actually because they hurt my arthritis, but you get the point. It took you almost 15 years to put Georgia and A&M to College Station. Despicable. But we flip now because I can't keep talking about that. Georgia gets Alabama in 2028, and the most notable game, I guess, in 2029 is at LSU. I'm ready for 2026 or 2027 because I am ready for Georgia to go play LSU in Athens. They have not played in LSU in Athens since 2013. That was the 44-41 game. Oh, it was wonderful. Both teams couldn't play defense until like the final minute. Georgia, I think Leonard Floyd got pressure on the quarterback. Leonard Floyd did have a sack before the 4th down, but LSU had a 4th down. Zach Mettenberger was their quarterback. He dropped back. to throw it. He completely missed his target. And Georgia wins 44-41, probably up until the Georgia Tech game. It was one of the most craziest games in Sanford Stadium. Georgia Tech game of last year was one of the most craziest games ever played at Sanford Stadium. Aaron Murray to Justin Scott Leslie won that game. But Aaron Murray had like 4 or 5 touchdown passes in that game. I mean, just brilliant. And the fact that 2013 was a weird season for Georgia. You beat Tennessee, Florida, LSU, and Georgia Tech, but you lose to Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Auburn. Of course, Vanderbilt was the Ray Drew targeting game, which wasn't targeting for some reason. Missouri was just blown. Missouri was a blowout, and the Auburn game was the one that they threw it down the field, and the 2 Georgia players tipped it in the air. You know, the miracle in Jordan Hare. Ricardo Lewis runs in stride and catches it. So that was bad, but yeah, that was a crazy game. And we can talk about this more later, but it's time to get to the real stuff within 2 days away. And I thank God that we're getting to Saturday. It's almost here. Real quick, before we talk about Georgia, Alabama, we'll check the rest of the SEC. But before I do that, I want to say I am not going to spend a lot of time on it. But I do want to say the Falcons lost to the Panthers 30-0 Sunday. That is inexcusable and unacceptable. You got shut out by the Panthers. You got shut out by Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. I don't mind Carolina. I think out of the rest of the division teams, they're the most likable. And I found myself going for Carolina a few times, every now and then. You know, especially when they play the Saints or Tampa Bay or Philadelphia or Washington or a team that, you know, the Falcons really don't care for. Yeah, I mean, I went for Carolina. But the fact that you got shut out 30-0 against Carolina is completely inexcusable. It's embarrassing. And I read a report a few days ago, the Falcons fired their wide receivers coach. But I read a report a few years ago, one of the reasons they're doing so bad is because they keep running the pistol formation. You were in the freaking pistol formation at the goal line against Tampa Bay when it took you a lucky touchdown to get in. They were on 4th down. They had 3 other chances to get in, and they were running the shotgun and pistol formation for no reason whatsoever. That's not a wide receiver's coach's fault. That's not your quarterback's fault. That's your offensive coordinator's fault. So that's the last I'm going to say about that. If you're genuinely shocked that the Falcons lost 30-0 to Carolina, I was shocked they lost 3-0. But I was shocked that they lost to Carolina, but I was not shocked that they lost 30-0. If you can't have defense in this, if you cannot have an offense in this league, you're not winning. The Falcons proved that. If the Falcons lose Sunday to Marcus Mariota and Dan Quinn, is it in Atlanta? I think it's in Atlanta. Because we went to Washington last year. Yeah, it's in Atlanta. If you lose that game, the season's over. And week 4. I'm glad I'm also a Detroit Lions fan. I've been a Detroit Lions fan for my whole life almost. If you lose to the Commanders, I will still watch you. I will still support you. But not everybody else is going to be that kind. They can do stuff better with their Sundays. It is complete. The Atlanta Falcons are a joke to lose 30-0. That's the last I'll say about that. Let's move on to something more positive. The SEC. Georgia did not play last week, so there was no video last week. I'll give you the scores of last week real quick in case you missed anything. I'm waiting for it to load. And for some reason, I've lost internet out here, so give me one moment. Yeah, I've lost internet. Give me one moment, guys. I apologize. I didn't watch no football over the weekend. I actually did. I watched the end of Auburn, Oklahoma, and the end of Clemson and Syracuse. That was pretty much it. So some of these scores might be refreshing to me. Okay, yeah, scores from last week quickly. LSU over Southeast Louisiana 56-10. Miami over Florida 26-7. Texas over Sam Houston 55-0. Oklahoma 24, Auburn 17. Ole Miss 45-10 over Tulane. Tennessee 56-24 over UAB. Vanderbilt 70-21 over Georgia State. Missouri 29-20 over South Carolina. Memphis, Arkansas. I did watch the end of that game too. Memphis and Arkansas. Memphis won 32-31. Arkansas was driving, about to kick a field goal to win, and they had at the goal line. Their running back fumbled. He did a Jasper Saints, but instead he was knocked down. And then Mississippi State 38-10. So the games this week: Notre Dame, Arkansas. Arkansas is going to beat Notre Dame, so y'all might as well be prepared for that. Vanderbilt over Utah. Vanderbilt, Utah State at 12:45. Ole Miss, LSU at 3:30. So a SEC top 15 team or top 15 matchup. I got LSU winning that. Well, we'll go everyone. Arkansas beating Notre Dame. Vanderbilt beating Utah State. LSU beating Ole Miss. 3:30 Auburn and Texas A&M. That'd be the CBS game if they still came on CBS. I got Auburn winning. I think Texas A&M's very overrated. I like Texas A&M. I've always thought really good of Texas A&M, but Auburn got screwed last week pretty much. So I believe Auburn's going to be pissed, and they beat Texas A&M. 4:15 Tennessee and Mississippi State. My heart wants to say Mississippi State, but it's just not going to happen. Tennessee wins. UMass versus Missouri at 7:30. Missouri, obviously, and then 7:45, Kentucky and South Carolina. It has gone bad for South Carolina, very, very bad. I think it gets worse. I think Mark Stoops in Kentucky finds a way to upset South Carolina. But the big game of the week, as something just fell out there. I have no idea what the freak that is. Apparently, Michigan in this game is that big of a deal that stuff's going to start falling from trees. The biggest game in Sanford Stadium in a while. 2022 Tennessee was big. 2019 Notre Dame was big. I can't think of a game that is this big. It is Georgia. It is number 3 or number 5 Georgia and number 17 Alabama. And I have some stuff to tell you about this game. So let's start with betting odds. Georgia is favored by 3.5. The money line for Alabama is plus 130. Negative 150. I really don't still understand some of that stuff yet, but I do understand the odds, and Georgia is favored by 3.5. ESPN Matchup Predictor has a 54.8% chance for Georgia to win, a 45.2% Alabama to win. Alabama is led by Ty Simpson. Gunnar Stockton is Georgia's quarterback is Gunnar Stockton. I apologize. I was clicking something and it went off. I was trying to read the rest of these Alabama players, but in all honesty, I just don't know them. Their last 5 games for Alabama, they beat Auburn last year. They lost to Michigan and Florida State, but they have rebounded with 73-0 win over ULM and 38-14 versus Wisconsin. Georgia's last 5, they beat Texas in overtime last year in the ACC Championship, lost to Notre Dame, but started out the season 3-0 with wins over Marshall, Austin Peay, and a beautiful comeback victory versus Tennessee at Neyland Stadium. Let's talk, shall we? This isn't the same. We said this time last year, or I did, and a lot of Georgia fans said this too, they just won't admit it. We thought we were going to walk into Alabama last year and smoke the Tide. I did. And a lot of other Georgia fans thought they would too. What happened in that game? You get down 28-0 or 21-0, 28-0. You get dog walked. You come back, but then what happens when you come back? The very next play, you allow a touchdown. There will be no miracle needed this year because I absolutely believe Georgia just has to do one thing on Saturday to win this game, and that's apply pressure to Ty Simpson. If they do that, game over. Georgia wins. It won't. It's not only is it going to take Ty Simpson going off, which I do think is a good quarterback. I don't think he's better than Milroe, but he is okay. It's pretty much going to take Ryan Williams going off again, just like he did last year against Georgia, for Alabama to win this game. And I get it. I understand. I fully agree that Ryan Williams could torch our secondary because they sucked against Tennessee. But I'm hoping that Georgia has took a moment with the bye week to get all that fixed. Nick Saban's not on that sideline. He might be at the game on ESPN. But which, it's very weird that College Game Day decided not to come to this game. You're literally not going to come to one of the games of the year. I don't even know what game they chose over Alabama, Georgia, but for whatever reason, it was ridiculous. Shout out SEC Nation. Shout out Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean. They'll be on SEC Nation, which I don't watch any of them because I watch WSB Game Day in the morning. I watch Fox 5 Game Day, Bulldogs Game Day with DJ Shockley. And then after that, it's time for football. And then Tailgate Show. I listen to the Bulldogs pregame show. I listen to all hours, every 15 hours of Georgia's radio coverage every week. And we have been doing that for years. It's going to take Ryan Williams going off for Georgia to win this game. For Alabama to win this game. Georgia needs to run. Georgia needs to run till you cannot no more. They need to run. I don't care if it's Cash Jones, Nate Frazier, McCray, Peanut. You got to run. You have to run this ball because Alabama will not beat you if you run the ball. Well, I want to see, excuse me, here we get some more drink. Excuse me. What I want to see is, I said this kind of jokingly against Tennessee, but it was a sentence I said as a joke, but I meant it. I mean it for Alabama as well, and I'm saying it seriously for Alabama. And that's, you need to run the ball and take the clock. For some reason, Georgia didn't do that against Tennessee, and they kind of were in a position where they couldn't. They were down 21-7, and yes, they did get the field goal and then the interception late in the third quarter. But then you got conservative. You have to know when to be conservative and then to take your shots. Yes, you can be conservative when you're up 10, 17 points, run the ball, drain the clock. You were up 3 with the ball on Tennessee's side of the field, and then for some reason you decide to start run here, screenplay on the third down when it's too late to do anything. Cannot do that. You cannot do that against Alabama, and the proof is in the pudding because Alabama did it last year against Georgia, and look what happened. In the third and fourth quarters of that game, especially the fourth, Alabama was playing not to win, but not to lose. And it almost cost them at the end. I know I keep going back to last year. There's absolutely no reason why Kirby Smart should be 0-1 versus Kalen DeBoer. And there's no reason why he should be 0-2 against Kalen DeBoer if 42 hours from now we lose Saturday. That stadium's going to be packed. You know, I don't agree with drinking. It's just something that our family just does not agree with. But please, Georgia fans, drink up in that game and get loud and be obnoxious, because that's what it's going to take for Georgia to win that game. You're going to have that crowd advantage, which I know Georgia will do. But if Georgia loses this game, that crowd's going to be obnoxious and bad too. The stadium will fall down regardless if Georgia wins or loses that game. But the main point I'm trying to make is I don't think it's going to be a close game. If Georgia can stop Ryan Williams and put pressure on Ty Simpson, ball game. That's literally all Georgia has to do in this game. Florida State torched you, Alabama. A team with 2 wins or 3 wins the year before torched you, Alabama. And they look good against ULM. They won 73-0, and they look good against Wisconsin. Georgia's not ULM or Wisconsin, Alabama, so what are you going to do? You see, I just said it a few minutes ago, and I mean it. Nick Saban's not this Alabama team no more. Under Nick Saban, Alabama had this... I can't explain it. It's like you knew you were going to lose when you played Alabama and Nick Saban. They were intimidating. They were like Dale Earnhardt, intimidator. Alabama intimidated everybody they played. Now, when I think of Alabama, it definitely is not. I'm definitely not scared of Alabama. Our players shouldn't be scared of Alabama. I mean, it's Alabama. It's just Alabama. Yeah, it's a name, but it's not the Alabama. The Alabama was 2008 to 2021 or 22. They made the playoffs in 2000 or 23. They made the playoffs in 23. This isn't Nick Saban's Alabama. This is the Alabama that beat LSU 21-0 in the national championship game, that turned around a year later and smoked Notre Dame in the national championship game. Which, by the way, if Georgia would have won the ACC championship game in 2012, not only would they have beat Alabama and then won the ACC championship, they would have beat Notre Dame soundly, just like Alabama did. So, Mark Richt should have the national title. This isn't Derrick Henry led with Nick Saban Alabama team. This is the most beatable Alabama team since pretty much last year, and you saw what we did against them last year. For some reason, we got off being down 28-0 and came back and blew it in the last minute. And there's this thing that people get. Whenever their team plays Alabama, whether it be Georgia, Auburn, LSU, whatever it is, I'm not afraid of Alabama. I'm not. They're beatable. Frick, Florida State just proved it. So, I don't want to say anything or talk or just trash Alabama, but that's genuinely how I feel. It's not the Alabama that everybody knows in the past. And to me, that's big. Georgia is more of Alabama, what Alabama used to be. So, my point is, and we will end it here in a minute, Georgia should win Saturday, okay? Georgia should win Saturday, and it shouldn't even be close. And you guys know me. I've done it for basketball all these years. If Georgia gets embarrassed Saturday, yeah, I'll be right here. But Georgia should not. Georgia is a way better team than Alabama is this year. And I just can't see a world where Georgia loses this game. I mean, it would be catastrophic if Georgia lost this game. I know it sounds dramatic. But if you lose to Alabama with Ty Simpson as quarterback, with Kalen DeBoer as the head coach, Kirby, there's something wrong. And that starts with you. Because Mike Bobo, okay? First year with the coordinator for Georgia was 2023. Kirby, you lost to Alabama 6 or 7 times before Mike Bobo was there. 2018 twice. 2021. So 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. It's 6 or 7 overall. You lost to Alabama a few more times than you did before you had Mike Bobo. That's when you also lost to him when you had Tom Monken, who's Georgia fans say is the greatest offensive coordinator of all time. If Kirby cannot get it done this week, it is not Georgia being a bad team. It is a Kirby Smart problem. And I'm not saying fire Kirby. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I am saying, if we cannot get it done Saturday, Kirby has a problem against Alabama. If he cannot beat this Alabama team, there's something wrong. But I don't think it comes to that, because I think that Georgia smokes this Alabama team. If everything goes like I think it should, Georgia should win this game. So yeah, we'll end it with that. I hope I kind of motivated some Georgia people, because you need to be Rockets for this game. This isn't another game. This is Alabama. This is the game that everybody has circled on their calendar, just like they did last year. And look what happened. Georgia lost last year. I am sick and tired of losing to Alabama, and I'm just saying the quiet part out loud, because I know every other Georgia fan is sick and tired of losing to Alabama. I know they beat them for the national championship in 2022. But I'm also going to bring up regular season games. You've not beaten Alabama in the regular season since 2007. This is the first time they're playing the Athens since 2015. This has been 10 years in the making. You got to win. You have to win this game. No ifs, ands, or buts. Georgia has to win this game Saturday. It's not a must-win for playoffs, okay? It's not that Georgia could lose this game and still be a top 4 seed after we beat Texas, after we beat Ole Miss, after we beat everybody to win the SEC, which I think Georgia will do. That's not my point. My point is, we're sick and tired of losing to Alabama. You have to get it done Saturday because it's Alabama and we're sick and tired of losing to them. I don't know how many times I got to keep saying it. I mean, just think about it. If you're a Georgia football-only fan, yes, you have seen heartbreaking losses to Alabama. Think about me from my perspective. Football is my third sport behind basketball and baseball. Probably second now behind basketball. Because I think I love football more than I love baseball now the last 2 years or so. But baseball is still high on the list. But basketball is number 1. Every single time Georgia goes to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in basketball, they get the brain smoked in. Alabama set the 3-point record against Georgia a few years ago in COVID against Georgia. They hit like 19 threes. In 2023, we got down 30-0 almost, it seemed like. It didn't lost by 100. Or they put 100 on us, lost by 40. I've seen more losses against Alabama in all the sports that I love, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it because Georgia could beat Alabama in basketball, and Alabama could be okay. In football, they won't. So we need to take something away from them, like the pain of those games, basketball games, and the pain of 1A18. I haven't forgot falling to my knees with tears in my eyes as like 11 or 12 years old, crying because Georgia just lost national championship game to Alabama. I haven't forgot. I haven't forgot being shocked that Georgia lost to Alabama just a few months later in Atlanta in the SEC championship game. I haven't forgot the COVID game. Yeah, I forgot mentioning that game earlier, but I haven't forgot about that game. Georgia was playing good, and all of a sudden they just decided to stop. I haven't forgot, and I want Alabama to feel that Saturday. So, GATA, dogs. I'm going to say it. Get after their ass Saturday. Get after their ass. I want to see Alabama. I want to see Georgia beat Alabama by 50. And I have friends who are Alabama fans. If Alabama wins, I'll be happy for you, obviously. But I am sick of losing to Alabama. I want Georgia to win this game more than any game of the season, with the exception of Georgia Tech, because beating Georgia Tech is a yearly tradition that I absolutely enjoy. We'll find out in 2 days. Next time you see me, it'll be a pregame video for Georgia and Alabama. Let's go, dogs, and let's beat Alabama on Saturday.